Hi, this is Eric from longboxreview.com. Welcome to the show. This is the second of my my spotlights or focuses or whatever on DC's New Age of Heroes. I previously talked about issue number 1 of Damage, and this time I'm going to talk about Sideways. Sideways is about Sideways is by Kenneth Rocafort, Dan DiDio, Justin Jordan doing the dialogue, Daniel Brown and Carlos M. Mangual, all working all together to produce this new book. So, like I did with Damage, I'm going to talk about the issue, some of my thoughts about it. I solicited some comments or questions on Twitter about these books, and I'll be talking about some of those as well. And since I'm thinking of it, I'll bring up one. George from the George and Tony Entertainment Show asked basically why I decided to pick up these books, and I picked up Sideways for a couple reasons. One is I thought the character design was interesting. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And primarily, I got it because of the artist, Kenneth Rocafort, whose work I have last enjoyed on the Ultimates from Marvel. And I think he worked on Superman there for a while under the New 52 banner. And I enjoyed that as well. But yeah, his work on the Ultimates is what really drew me into the fact that he was doing this new character Sideways. And the other reason is, as I talked about in the previous episode about Damage, DC seems to be doing Marvel Comics. So Damage is akin to the Hulk, and Sideways to me is about Spider-Man or similar to Spider-Man. So, and I will talk about that a little bit later. So that's what drew me into doing this, to buying this comic. But as I did on the last episode about Damage, I'll start with the cover. Well, I'll talk about some of the stuff that's going on in here. So again, we get a character close-up on the cover, just like we did with Damage. This time mostly just with the character Sideways here, with his sort of monochromatic costume design. So again, we get another costume that is not very distinctive color-wise, and so I'm curious why, with Damage and now Sideways, why we're getting that color palette for these new characters. It's kind of this grayish blue or slate blue or whatever with a kind of greenish white with the character costume. Or is that his skin? See, here's the thing. His hands, you can clearly see fingernails. But, his skin color normally isn't like that, the character of Derek, who is Sideways. So I don't know if that's just a mistake or what. But anyway, weird choices color-wise for these character costumes. So anyway, there's that. But I do like the chevrons on here, the kind of jagged eyes that go around, kind of like sunglasses, so to speak, on Sideways' head. And it's very, of course, it's a full face mask, which just makes the parallel to Spider-Man even stronger. So it's interesting that they decided to do that, but it's a cool design. I like it. I just wish the colors were maybe a little different, especially considering why this character has this particular costume, which I'll get to in a minute. I complained last time about the fold-out cover pages, and asking why they decided to do that, because I find it quite annoying. However, having said that, what I like about Sideways' extra cover pages is that we appear to be getting a glimpse of what may come in the book, in the story, because there's a bunch of characters in here besides Sideways, all these weird-looking alien creatures, or I'm going to guess cosmic level beings, considering what goes on at the end of this issue, as well as the reason why I really like Roquefort's work is because he seems to thrive on designing and drawing these alien cosmic level beings, as he did in the Ultimates, and now we're getting that here in Sideways as well, which to me elevates this book somewhat more than my enjoyment of Damage. So I'm looking forward to this, and we got like I said, we got some alien creatures. There's one on here in particular that's really very similar in aesthetically in design to Sideways himself, but it's like a cross between Sideways and Damage with a copper and tan color combination, which I thought was really cool. They should have done that for Sideways. Anyway, yeah, there's a white-haired woman with whitish eyes going shh to us with her finger. I'm really intrigued, actually, more about who these characters are than, quite honestly, the main character. But I'll get into that. So anyway, complain about it, but it gives me a glimpse into what could be about this book, and so I appreciate that. And of course, like I said, it makes me interested in reading this book. So the book opens with Sideways teleporting in, or as they refer to it in the story, rifting into this girl's room. This girl who is brushing her teeth and putting on makeup at the same time. It's a splash page of that. She doesn't react very well to it, but it turns out, hey, they're friends. So this is Ernie, short for Ernestine, and this is Derek's friend, Derek, who, like I said, is Sideways. And so he decided to pop in to say hello, surprised her. Of course, that didn't work out very well. But two things I like about this. I really like Ernie. If you're going to have a supporting cast, you should have characters that really pop. And I think that Ernie is one of those. She designed, and I presume made, they reference it directly. She made Sideways's costume. And what I love about page 3, the top panel on page 3, is that the artists here did an excellent job of putting in some details. She made this costume. So she's also wearing this furry rainbow colored catsuit, I think it is. First I thought it was jammies, but she makes a reference to her sister that she's dressed and ready for school. So I'm not sure if those are actually jammies or something she made or what, but anyway, it looks cool. And but what I want to point out is that in the background there's a sewing machine, and there is thread, and there are fabrics and notes and stuff. So you very clearly see, and almost at an intuitive level, because you're looking at this background image. At least this is how I read comics. So, I just kind of absorb what's going on the page, but I'm really focused on the words and the main characters that's going on. So you just kind of absorb this information. And it was only later when I was looking through the book to take notes to talk about it today that I noticed all these details in the background. And I really love that. I love that Roquefort does that. See, as I recall in his Ultimates run for Marvel, there wasn't a lot of background art because of the cosmic level scale of things that was going on. So to see this in here just really tickles me, and I really appreciate it. So, like I said, Ernie made Derek's costume, and since I made the comments about his costume, now I'm wondering. So everything is so colorful in Ernie's room, including the suit, the cat suit or whatever it is that she's wearing. And so why did she go with this darkish blue and off-white color scheme for her friend? It seems weird to me. Now, I'm not a designer. I don't make costumes. I'm not an artist. I just read comic books, but it seems like a weird choice to me. So if I'm way off, let me know. I would love for I'd love to hear what some cosplayers have to say about Sideways' costume and the color palette specifically. But anyway, so we also find out in a somewhat awkward fashion this is let's see here. What was it? Dan DiDio is the credited as storyteller and does dialogue with Justin Jordan. I found this transition to finding out that Sideways also has super strength and seems to be somewhat resilient. I don't think he's invulnerable, but Ernie punches him and it hurts her hand when she does so. And he seems to be oblivious to the fact that she punched him. So anyway, transitions from them talking about his suit and whatnot to him lifting her dresser just off the floor because she asks, "Tell me, how are you as strong as Superman?" And then he picks it up and is like, I do all right. It was just, I don't know. It was clunky to me. Not a good transition. It's just quickly in a few pages, you know that Sideways can rift. He has super strength and he's resilient. So I guess that's a way to set up the character for what's to come. Also awkward and groan-worthy is he's leaving and he says, as he's leaving, he says, "I'm stepping out" in one panel, and then the next panel he does this. So his rifting appears to start from his hands, from his fingers. And he says, "I'm stepping out sideways." That is so bad. Anyway. So there's that. And then we find out that Derek is a victim of the dark metal event in Gotham, where the mountain just appeared in Gotham City. And his mom now takes him to school, which causes some problems. People are making fun of him. He doesn't talk to anybody. He's really introspective. Although the way he interacts with Ernie, he appears to be a totally different, or not totally, but he appears to be a little more outgoing than what we find out after that scene. And then there's the scene coming up that belies this. But, a lot of people have the public persona and the private persona with their close friends. So I get that. So there's really not much there. Just an interesting contrast to that. But we find out that when the mountain in Gotham City appeared, there was an opening in the ground that Derek fell through. And he said he didn't fall through the mountain. He fell in and he fell through the energy around what was around them, and he popped out on the other side of town, and then he blacked out for 4 days. He said that for 4 days he didn't know what was going on, and apparently then he had his powers. And so there's a scene in school which reminded me a lot of Spider-Man, Peter Parker in high school. There was this Flash Thompson-like character called Freddy. There was even a Betty Brant type character, I think. I might be confusing Spider-Man's love interests in the early days here, but then school's out, and then he decides, okay, here's the big day. I mean, that's how it opened. He stopped by Ernie's to thank her for the costume because this was the big day he was going to make his debut. And so you're probably thinking, as I did, that he was going to do some super heroics, but no, he puts the costume on, and what he does, and I thought this was kind of a cool thing. He goes and decides that he's going to record himself on on some sort of social media. I do a live stream thing called Steppin' Out with Sideways. And so he's like, name the location and we're off. No place too far or too secret is out of reach. I could take you on the ride of your life. And then he riffs out from wherever this is, somewhere near Gotham, I think. And he starts teleporting around all these places. He ends up falling into a lake. But I just thought that was a really cool idea. The fact that he would do this. And that's why he wears this mask, to protect his identity. As he says, I have to keep my loved ones safe. And anyway, then this is the point where he starts hearing again. So like Damage, we're hearing these voices. Someone's yelling at him, "Stop! Accept the crisis ultimatum." Crisis. I hadn't really noticed that in the first read around, but the second time I'm reading through this, I noticed crisis ultimatum. Crisis is a loaded word in DC Comics, so it comes with a lot of importance and weight. So is this just an offhand comment, or is this meant to tie to something bigger than what we're seeing right now? So that I'm really looking forward to that, to see where that goes, what that develops into. So he's hearing this voice. Oh, he says, the voice says, "Accept the crisis ultimatum. Your infractions must cease." And he keeps porting like, this is, it's starting to freak him out. He's just porting everywhere, rifting everywhere. And someone says, "I said stop," or the voice says, "I said stop. Ignorance delays the inevitable. Do not task me further." He keeps rifting, pop, pop, pop. And then towards the end, there's this great 2-page splash of, I think it's New York City. It looks like the Empire State Building. Pardon my ignorance, New Yorkers, or anybody else who knows that area well. Or I don't know, is it New York or a stand-in for some other city? Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's falling through the air and then catches himself on a building. And that's when this creature whom we saw on the cover too, but he appears, it's kind of like this orange-skinned or armored thing with these horns pointing out of the side of his head, and he's carrying this huge, what looks like a cosmic rod of some sort. He says, "You have been judged a threat to the continued existence of this space-time brain, BRANE. Since you seem unwilling or unable to cease your dangerous and lawless behavior, your sentence is death." To which Sideways replies, "Wait, what?" So that's how the issue ends. It was kind of fun. It was a little awkward at the beginning there. Like I said, the transitions, and we're not really getting to know Derek all that much, other than he seems to be a loner at school, but he's really outgoing with Ernie. Ernie is great. You have his overprotective mother, and you have this creature, this cosmic, what I keep calling a cosmic level being, coming after him. And so I'm thinking, what is this? What's going on? Where are we going? But I thought too, so Derek would have been doing this porting around. And if I were him and I had this ability, I would have been teleporting all around the world before I even got the costume. Now, he's different than me, but I would think a teenager who had this ability would just go crazy with it at first. So assuming that, why now? Why did him doing the teleporting that he did in this issue cause this space cop, for lack of a better word, to finally intervene? So I'm wondering about that. Although I have to admit, Derek did say something about earlier in the issue that he was. The headaches and nausea have subsided. So maybe when he realized he could do the powers he was doing, he did it, but it had such a bad physical reaction that he didn't do it that much. But now he feels much better, so now he does it. So maybe that's what that line is supposed to imply. But it was still a weird thing. And so if this is the case, if this is the restriction, again, these weird restrictions in these books so far with Damage and now Sideways, if with these restrictions at least implied, how are they going to continue with this? Obviously, they're going to resolve this in some way and he can continue to rift, but it just seems like a weird thing to throw in there. So anyway, but like I said, so that space cop, that's what I love about Rocafort's work. These big, splashy, Kirby-inspired characters. I love it. It would be only better if that space cop even appeared even larger on that final page than he is. It's really cool work. I really dig Rocafort's work. So, So is this a better Spider-Man? Is DC's version of Spider-Man-ish better than Spider-Man? Of course not. Spider-Man is one of those characters. Unlike my disdain for the Hulk, Spider-Man is awesome. Spider-Man is an iconic character that I don't know can be duplicated. Well, can't be duplicated for sure. So why even bother? So is this, what do we got here that is any good? That's not Spider-Man like, right? We have a teenage character who goes to high school and he's looked down upon by some of his peers, but he's got a core group of friends, or at least one of them, in Ernie. And he has these powers and no responsibility yet, but I imagine that will come. But the cosmic level, I know I keep saying that phrase a lot, but that cosmic level aspects of this really elevate the book for me beyond Spider-Man. Now, not that, I mean, Spider-Man has dealt with cosmic level stuff, of course, but not early on, not that I recall. Anyway, but to throw it in so early and have it be directly related to Sideways' powers, I think is an interesting idea to explore here. Again, like Damage, I did find the art to be the most interesting thing, and I have to say I like this art, Roquefort's art, better than Daniel's art in Damage, if I'm going to make a comparison. So I think I'm getting my money's worth here, but of course there's not as many splash pagey type stuff going on in the book, although there are some large panels on the page. We're talking about like looks like 4 to 6 panels on average ish, with a few splash type pages going on there. But at least Roquefort, changes it up page to page for the most part. So I like that. So I like this story better so far than, say, Damage. Much better cliffhanger ending with that final page. A little bit of dialogue and scene or panel transitions are a little clunky, a little too much. Hey, did I ever tell you this? Just so that you get the exposition across to the audience. But anyway, I'm sure that will work itself out, hopefully. But so one of the questions I wanted to have answered, I answered George's about why I wanted to try it. But Peter Rios asked the question, which I answered in the Damage episode, and I'll answer here and in future ones, which is, and apologies to those who are listening to all the episodes, but just in case this is the first one you're listening to, when publishers launch group titles like this, they have to know that some will stick and others won't. Even with the first issue, do you see potential for longevity? Will they eventually turn into background characters you only see in event books? Something in the middle. I think that Sideways has more potential for longevity than, say, Damage does. I might be saying that more because I respond better to Roquefort's art, but given the whole of this first issue, there's a lot more here with Ernie, with actually this is not a good thing. I respond more to everything else going on around Sideways than I am responding to the main character. So that is troubling. But I think what is being introduced here has potential. And so I think the book will last longer than, say, Damage, perhaps. Whether or not this character will have longevity across the DC universe, that's hard to say at this point. Definitely potential because of the space cop character and what that all means. But quite honestly, I think that this character will come and go. But that's what I like about exploring these new characters, these new concepts, this new age of heroes. That's kind of why I wanted to do these single issue episodes to talk about them, because there is a lot of potential there, and I want to see these things succeed if they're done well. And it's hard to know on the first issue, so I'm definitely getting the first few issues of this. I read just recently that Grant Morrison is going to be coming in and doing either co-writing some issues or taking over for a short story arc or something like that. Hope my information is correct. But if that's the case, I'll definitely be sticking around, or at least getting Grant Morrison's issues. Who knows what he could do with Rocafort on something like this. So that very much excites me. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, well, that's it. That's my next look at DC's New Age of Heroes books. I did not order Silencer. So whichever, the Terrifics, is that next? I can't remember which one is coming out next. Oh, it looks like Terrifics is the next one I'll be getting in my shipment. So I am very much looking forward to that. Considering Terrifics continues DC's Marvelization by doing essentially the Fantastic Four. So, and I have a lot of anticipation for that. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then I also ordered The Immortal Men, and I'll be probably getting the Challengers book as well, just to see what that's all about. Anyway, so those are the episodes coming up soon. If you have any comments about what I said about Sideways, you want to share your thoughts about Sideways, number one, please do so. You can always email me at longboxreview@gmail.com. You can also message me on Twitter at Longbox Review. And as always, you can go to longboxreview.com and leave comments there. There are also other ways to get a hold of me. I have a voicemail number, Facebook page, etc. So you can find those things out by going to the website and clicking the contact /feedback button. So thanks for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.